Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine Jones and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews, and today we are reviewing him. And we are sipping on Kahlua and Bailey's. Yes. How y'all doing? So, niggas is out here giving this movie bad fucking reviews. It started with the Rotten Tomato review and all this other stupid shit. And I just feel like in my spirit that the audience that this movie was intended for, or the audience that this movie is unknowingly speaking to, I don't know, maybe they didn't know. They're not self-aware enough to be able to like face the shit they do. Black men, yes, they aren't self-aware enough to face the shit they like. The reason why a movie like Get Out can work, where you can make black men confront the fact that they falling for these white bitches that be trying to, like, they don't really like them, or they go through bullshit with these white bitches that are actually racist and shit like that, is because it pisses off black women. So they don't care. There's a conduit for that. There's no shame in that, and some of them even know that these white women that they're dating are racist, and they enjoy it. They have a humiliation kink. It's great for them. They love that. But with sports, they can't connect. Women don't give a fuck about that in the majority and shit like that. So basically, you gonna either have to sit with that, sit with the ideology of fame and sucking up to white men, because even in Get Out, it's a woman. Like, it's pussy. So it's funny. It's, oh, he got away at the end, so it's fine. So he can go back out there and get him some more white pussy. Right. In this, it's sucking up to white men and sucking up to the constructs that white men have created in order to have fame and fortune and success, and being made to face that and how it's affecting the black community, specifically coming from y'all. And this audience isn't ready to face that. This audience isn't. And I just feel like this is going to go back into the annals of another cult classic, just like Requiem for a Dream, because this nigga acted the fuck down. This nigga is a great. And I just am like, are we going to have to wait another 25 years when this nigga's 80 something for him to try again? Like, because I feel like if you take a character this far to where a motherfucker can't recognize you, that means you're pulling something deep out of your soul, some deep pain, some deep something out of your soul, either that you've already healed from or that you're currently going through. And it sucks either way, but if you're already healed from it and then you have to revisit that shit just to bring it takes a lot. You have to allow yourself to be very vulnerable. And so the amount of acting that went into this character that Marlon Wayans played, I feel like he been through some shit. Something's going on in his life that might make him a little bit more vulnerable than most emotionally. And like, when niggas talk about your shit when you've allowed yourself to be this vulnerable, it's hard to overcome that if you're already vulnerable emotionally. You have to be a very strong motherfucker and not give a fuck what nobody got to say, because you know your shit is the shit, to overcome shit like that. Like, it'll still sting, it'll still be annoying, but you can still create, you can still do stuff, you can still like try things and just try them harder and do them better, just because you're focused on the art that comes from you and not from whatever. That's why I'm saying the art is for the artist. And you know how I know people know the artist for the artist and comes from the artist and their lived experience is because when artists create things, people make them a part of the things that they create and won't give them privacy, won't give them, a minute to themselves, and will treat them like the damn art itself, like the object. So you know that the art comes from the artist. You just want to commodify and use and abuse all of it, including the artist. Now, as soon as the art makes money, the artist becomes the object. And so, no, the art, it belongs to the artist. And then people are inspired from what the artist creates to hopefully dig into their own lived experiences to create something from their own individual experiences and things like that. And so, like, I hope this doesn't take this nigga into a hole that it's hard for him to come out, because I've been waiting so long for him to just act. Just act, Marlon. Just act. And y'all motherfuckers, maybe I just like really niche, like there's this Alice in Wonderland movie that was made by this nigga from Czech. I think he's from Czech, Eastern Europe, something. And basically, it's literally, Wonderland is literally like these nuts and bolts and scraps and like junk and shit like that. And Alice is like this little broken ass doll that's wandering through it. And literally during undergrad, I would rent that movie out and just leave it running in the background all the time. I would rent that movie out for weeks at a time and just leave it playing in the background. Just look up and see a rabbit made out of fucking wires and shit and needles. And then look back down and keep reading, and so like maybe it's just hard for me to conceptualize fake shit that, maybe it's just hard for me to conceptualize shit that has fakery and foolishness in it, and I'm just really geeked by artistic expressions of truth. And then we categorize that as indie movies, or like niche movies, or cult classics and shit like that. They're cult classics because it's the truth, and the majority of us can't handle the truth because we're so lost in the societal trauma of white supremacy. And like, am I surprised that these motherfuckers are downing this movie? Absolutely not. It's mostly men, a lot of black men. Am I disappointed? Yes, because I think this movie, it feels like it was made with a hope. There was a hope there to shine light on a story that a lot of black men experience, and let them know that they are kings and gods, and you do not have to follow be under the thumb of the white man. But they don't wanna. They don't. The same reason they be caping for the white bitches that call them nigger and have race play sex with them and shit. Yep. So literally, this movie is like a blow by blow of how a person is manipulated into a cult. Like, if you literally look up stages of being manipulated into a cult, it's this. And it started from birth, basically. So from birth, Cameron, the young light-skinned child in this, has been conditioned to be a football player by his dad. Come to find out that the NFL league of this movie is basically been funding his conditioning since birth, which is realistic because that is what they do to children in sports. You might get them in like 5th grade, and now you're conditioning this motherfucker all the way up through high school, through college, and then it's a real thing. Because I notice issues when people say when people don't like something, but they can't explain why. They can't go into depth of why is it disjointed? Why is it a fever dream? Why? So I'm going to connect the dots for those who would like to watch from what I saw, my perspective. Okay. So we're indoctrinating this child into the societal cult of white supremacy via football. This is the avenue that white supremacy is taking for this movie, right? The other avenues include, being a rapper, being a cop, because these are avenues of white supremacy to control what you put out into the world, whether it's controlling your body, your voice. That's why like artists, they have mental health issues as they get older because they're being used as an object and the art's no longer fun anymore. That's why Rihanna doesn't want to make a fucking album, because she can take a nap now. She can take a nap. She can play with her kids. Making an album's hard. If I was a billionaire, I wouldn't care about making music anymore either, because you took it out of me. You took it out of me. I don't care anymore. You made it not fun. That's why when she wants to sing, she just does a feature here and there. Like, I feel like shining a little bit and singing a little bit and having fun. Leave this woman alone. She's a person. She's a human being, and she doesn't want to put in that work if she doesn't have to. Leave her alone. Y'all niggas had her standing on a fucking high-rise platform at the Super Bowl. almost 8 months pregnant and shit for because y'all wanted to see her so bad in the Super Bowl. They don't pay people to do the Super Bowl performances. I would not be surprised if them motherfuckers paid her to do that. Because why would she? She has a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Why would she? So, we're orchestrating this where he's supposed to be like a robot, basically. And so we come in on Cam with his dad in the beginning of the movie. And his dad is in the beginning, it's this really claustrophobic feel. His dad is hovering over him and touching his face and talking about, look at the screen when this nigga knee bone is sticking out. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the moment Cam decided that he didn't like football like that. He didn't want to look at it. He was traumatized. They're like, no, look at it. You have to be a survivor. You have to like sacrifice and shit for the game and la 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 la. And I'm just like, because the issue with this is that they tried to brainwash this child, because some of us are just born with individuality and self-confidence enough to see that something's wrong with what all the shit that's going on around us and question it at every fucking turn. A lot of us aren't. A lot of us just kind of go with it. We can be traumatized and abused into becoming a robot for the system. Right. And so Cam is basically an individual. At some point, he decides, a month before his dad dies, he tells him that he doesn't want to play football anymore. Like he just, and when he tells the story, he describes it as being a dumb kid. But no, in reality, that was his individuality that was trying to shine forth outside of what these people were doing with him. But as in cult fashion, his dad dies a month later. I would not be surprised if these people had him killed, because he probably went to these people and told him that Cam didn't want to play football. And so they had him, because they need to break you down so that you feel like you are beholden to the thing they want you to be beholden to, right? Right. So basically, there has been multiple mishaps in Cam's life, from his dad dying to these niggas hitting him in the back of the head so he can be isolated on that nigga's house farm situation, and to break him down, to break his spirit enough to attach his validity to something outside of him. Right. And so basically, it's like this is engulfing experience. And I think low key, he was feeling confident in it, but he was still feeling overwhelmed by this, like his mom and his brother and his girlfriend just hovering over him. His agent hovered over him. He's walking through these crowds of people all up in his face and shit. And they're illustrating how claustrophobic fame is. Why can't you just let motherfuckers be artists and leave them alone when they're out in the world? What's the big deal? Like, I don't need a motherfucker's autograph for what? So it can sit on my shelf and get dusty. Like, oh, you were selling on eat. Like, see, that's why you gotta be comfortable. You gotta have a comfortable space with money, because motherfuckers will smell the greed on you and the need and the desperation to have more money and have as much money as possible, and they'll use that greed and desperation against you. And like literally to be comfortable and not work, I would think you probably need at least 20 million. If you can make up to 20 million and just sit on that motherfucker and let accumulate in the bank with the stocks and all this other stuff, but just sit on it. That's how much you need to not work and to have enough money for future generations and stuff and not worry about it. 500,000, just sit in the bank. And you're still making money. So basically 500,000 is enough to be comfortable in the world and still make money from like jobs and entrepreneurial things and stuff like that to fund whatever else you want going on, so you don't spend all that money and stuff, right? And still be able to have a house, a car, pay for children and things like that. Like, you don't need these high luxury things if it's going to make you lose your soul. Now, there's nothing wrong with having high luxury things, but why are we compromising ourselves for it? Like, they're just things. Like, okay, I'd like to fly first class. I'd like to fly on a private jet. I like to do nice things, but if it's a choice between my dignity and flying on a private jet, I'll get to the country anyways. I'll just take economy. It's not that. You want me to suck your dick to do? Girl, I'll just take economy. It's girl. I'll still get there, and I have enough money to rent a car so I can go places and do things. And if I want to eat a steak, I can eat a steak, and it's nice. I don't need to. I don't care that much about flying on a private jet where I'm gonna suck your nasty dick. I don't know you. I think that's why I scare niggas, because these weak ass like manipulative tactics that probably were used against them, that they're trying to use against me, I see right through that shit, and I'm not gonna deal with that. Like, come correct, come as a regular motherfucking human being, or don't come at all, love. Like, it's weird. So anyways, he goes back home because he's like, it's the draft pick and it's the combine and all this other stuff, so he's going to play in the combine. I don't know what a combine is. I know what a draft is. I have no idea what a combine is. This is the game that they play just to show off their, and it's really weird because they kept doing the slave auction shit where like they had them just showing off their body, or he's showing off his body and his teeth and all this. Yes, but we'll get to that. And while he's practicing, I guess at his old high school at night and stuff, like some dude in a mascot outfit comes up behind him and smashes him in the head. And like he has a fracture in his skull and a concussion and a swollen brain and a brain bleed and all this other shit, right? So the doctor's talking about like they don't know how long it could take for this to heal properly, and he shouldn't play football till it heals properly, because motherfuckers get CTE and shit, and then they crash out and just like Aaron Hernandez start killing motherfuckers and shit, but because we've made this thing outside of us so important that it rules us now, we don't care about ourselves and our health and like we don't want to figure out any other plan B's and shit. Like, nigga, you could be an accountant, you could be an entertainment lawyer and shit, you could be lawyering up for all these niggas that play ball. You just have to go to law school and get some loans and shit if you can't afford it. Nigga, there's options. But we can't think of other options when we only get validation from this one thing. Right. And so he's developed a validation toward this one thing because he thinks it's his fault his dad is dead, or he's just guilty about the last thing he said to his dad, which is, I don't want to play football anymore, Dad. I want to just, maybe he wants to be a painter or some shit. I don't fucking know what he wanted to do. So the football field makes him not think about his dad dying and those being like the thing he said to him a month before he died. And that's not healthy, because look what almost happened. He almost got sucked into a cult and had some devil blood put into his body and all this other random shit that didn't have to happen. So anyways, like they're like his family's telling him like, oh, his mom is kind of sort of like, oh, if you don't want to, but like still like, and then like his girlfriend actually like the little dark skin shit. I gave him a little dark skin girlfriend. I love that. I feel like that was his choice, because if we're gonna go along with the pattern of these football niggas, he should have had a white girlfriend. But he's not. That's another thing that shows that he's not easily brainwashed, because that's what them niggas be doing to show status and shit with other niggas. No, it's not for the bitches, it's for the other niggas. Like, this is my little white trophy wife. See, I got one too, nigga. She's only 21. Like so I feel like that was his choice to have a dark-skinned black girlfriend, because she could have been light-skinned too, but he chose her. And so these are little signs to show his individuality. Him looking away from the screen when this nigga broke his knee and shit as a kid. Him pulling away from this construct a little bit, him telling his dad that he doesn't want to play football, him like showing sparks of his individuality within this brainwashing system, him having a black girlfriend when within this system like they supposed to have white girlfriends and like light-skinned girlfriends or anything that's not a dark-skinned black woman. These are signs, these are little breadcrumbs to show you that this is what makes him hard to brainwash, because he's still keeping pieces of who he is and not questioning it. Like, he doesn't really question like his choices like that, when it comes to these niggas. Like, if he has a question to ask, he's gonna ask it. If he thinks something's weird and crazy, he's gonna think it's weird and crazy. Like, he got close to being like them niggas when like he had the second little football game and tackled that motherfucker and he went into a coma or some shit, and he was like fist bumping everybody and chanting and shit like a cult. So he's not perfect. He got close, but no cigar, nigga. Like, you didn't get this motherfucker. And I love how they breadcrumb those little pieces to show his individuality throughout, to show why it was hard for these people to turn him and why they kept having to ramp it up and escalate and escalate and escalate, because he kept asking questions and he kept thinking that shit was weird, and he kept like being like, the fuck, bringing up shit that he should be too scared to bring up. He was never scared. I ain't never scared. But he was doing it in a calm way to let you know that, like, you're not about to get these weird ass emotions out of me. This is what I like, this is what I don't like, and I love Dato's magical. So basically, like, he's depressed, and he's being surrounded as he's going to the combine by photographers and fans, and he's overwhelmed, of course, the claustrophobia of fame, because you won't see people as people and leave them the hell alone and just enjoy their art and leave them the fuck alone. Talking about, oh, well, you're outside at Target, so like, this is a part of the job for me to harass you because I don't see you as a human being. Do you know how fucked up and broken you sound that you can't see this person as a human being just because of their job? Do you not hear yourself? That's fucking weird. And so, like, he's at this party, and like, his agent calls him, and his agent's like, oh, what's his name, Isaiah White, he wants you to come and train with him at his little compound situation and prove to him that you could replace him for the Saints and shit like that. And he's like, okay, nigga, I'll go. So basically what they did was orchestrate this concussion to break him a little bit, because he was a little too confident. It's harder to brainwash a confident nigga. You gotta like break them down a little bit. And also I found some stuff about cults and what they do, right? And I'll put like a little infographic situation to the side of me and stuff, whatever. But like, so the goal is to break you down and to break your soul, so that the only healing that you can find is through these people. Literally, a cult, or the bigger social cult of white supremacy, it's all the same tactics as it would be if you were in an emotionally abusive relationship with a manipulator or a toxic narcissist person. And so like, the gaslighting, the negging, the love bombing, the breadcrumbing, all these tactics that are thrown at you habitually on a consistent basis, so you don't know left from right or up from down, right? So the first step was to isolate him and break his soul. So they had to break him down a little bit with his injury, make him a little sad, a little miserable. And then they had to basically isolate him, right? So first, they use the tactic of the need to belong. So humans have a fundamental need of belonging and purpose. We want to feel like we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. Cults prey on this need by offering a sense of community and purpose. So his only identity is football. So if there is something that's going on in his life that is taking football away from him, he doesn't know who the fuck he is. Like, there are pieces of himself that he is aware of that he likes and doesn't like. And I think that's attributed to the positivity he's experienced within his family and, the love and guidance he's gotten. It doesn't seem like he was severely abused or anything. So there was some space for him to develop some individuality, but he hasn't fully developed that individuality into a personality yet. So basically there are some things that he's going to stand hard and firm on and things that he's going to question. But outside of football, he don't know who he is, what he likes, what career path he would like to go down besides football, creatively wise, who he is and things like that. And so by giving him an injury that could put him out for weeks to years, that can break your soul if that's all you're tied to. That's why you have to be tied to yourself first. That's because you're going to have yourself forever, before birth, after birth, and after death. You are the only permanent thing in your life. And if you have a higher power, you and God are the only permanent things in your life. And that's the most attention that you have to put into a thing on earth. And so if something bothers you, you have to clock it first before you clock anything else, and process through why that thing bothers you, and see if, do I need to set boundaries? Am I tripping? Things like that. Do I need to do self-care activities? Things like that, and not question it. Now, there are things like financial states and environments where it makes it hard to do that. So I'm not saying that, every toxic positivity, everybody should be able to process their emotions and understand themselves. Like, there are things in environment, and God bless those people in those environments that make it hard for them to process their emotions and understand what's going on, because they're constantly in survival mode, trying to survive whatever the fuck they got going on in their lives. But that's the light at the end of the tunnel, is if you are able to get out of that environment and save yourself and things like that, going to therapy, getting help, creating better friendships and things like that, the light at the end of the tunnel is you're no longer in prison anymore. You're no longer in an emotional prison anymore. And so this nigga is in prison to football. And so they broke his soul by trying to take football away from him. And then they dangled a carrot and said, oh, look, you want to do this? You want to do this? Look, football isn't gone. You just have to do this to get it. And then he goes to Isaiah's compound, and from then on out, you just see the little bit of mind control situations that they put him in. So we start off with him going through the front gate, and they got some opus shit, but people do this to famous people all the time. I think Lil Boosie has some motherfuckers outside his gates taking pictures and shit, like a nigga didn't live at that house. You got people outside of famous people's houses all the time. They're camping out and doing weird shit like that. So he gets up there, and the bitch from American Horror Story freak show is spitting at the window talking about, oh, what Isaiah, and apparently that's Marjorie. She's just, an acolyte of this nigga. So basically, you put these niggas on a pedestal, like the white people will put you on this false ass pedestal to make you feel like, oh yeah, we care about you. You're a god. Even we worship you. And then they'll allow you to have these little acolytes that so you can feel like you're over somebody. And so that's what fuels you if you're weak minded and shit. Oh God, I was mad. I came out that new movie Euphoric. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was so good, and the acting was just, this nigga is a great, and just motherfuckers that sit up here trying to gaslight people, talking about, oh, it's disjointed, it's a fever dream, I didn't understand what was going on. It was, no, you just don't it made you feel uncomfortable because it called out something in you that you don't want to be called out, and so you're gonna down it and make it seem like it's a bad thing, instead of processing, why did this make me feel uncomfortable? That's usually what I do at this point in life, when something makes me feel uncomfortable. And I've learned so much about myself doing that, and I've learned that things make me feel uncomfortable a lot of the times because it's trying to show me and teach me some shit. And I'm so much more grateful for learning that shit than I am for ignoring why it made me feel uncomfortable and blaming the thing. And staying stuck in that uncomfortableness that's always there because it's not going to be healed because you didn't face it. Anyways, so we got the weird acolytes outside of his, compound. And then we get it to the compound. Of course, the nigga doesn't come to the door. He has to go in by himself and walk up to meet the nigga in another room. This is a tactic that cops use. So basically what they do is when they, I watch a lot of true crime, so, it's my hobby. So basically when they catch a perp and they want to interview them and they think they're a suspect, but they're not sure completely yet, so they can't arrest them, is basically they put them in the interview room for maybe 2 or 3 hours by themselves. And because if they isolate them by themselves, then you start to overthink, you start to ruminate, you start to get bored, by the time the cop gets in there, they're at an emotional heightened state. And so it makes it harder for you to put on a mask and pretend like you're calm and cool and you didn't kill nobody because you're emotionally heightened and shit, right? And so anyways, he walks in through the space, this isolative, greeting, which makes him feel anxious. It's supposed to make him feel anxious and awkward before he meets this person. So the isolation piece of cults, like let me read that off real quick. So social conditioning and isolation. One of the key tactics used by cults is social conditioning. Cult leaders use various techniques to manipulate their members into conforming to their beliefs and behaviors. This can include isolating members from their friends and family, controlling their access to information, and creating a sense of dependency on the group. So he takes his cell phone. It's like, you can't DM anybody, you can't da 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 da. So he's isolated on this compound, and he can't reach out to his family members. I mean, he did, like, there's a house phone, but even then he was scared to be on the phone in front of the people there. And like, as soon as like the doctor came up behind him, he just hung that shit up real fast. I'm like, oh, sorry, it was my mom's birthday. Like, already they're putting this sense of anxiety around him just doing normal things like reaching out and stuff like that. So basically, a part of social isolation is making you feel like the people outside that are connected to you, that actually care about you, they're pieces of shit, and you don't even be talking to them. So there was also pieces within this where he would just down his family and down his knee for having a family and stuff like that. But just like a true narcissist, sociopath, whatever, it's like they play the fence. So basically, you sitting up here asking him like, oh, what's your dream, or what are you connected to? Like, this is later on in the movie, but it has to do with like isolation and stuff. So I was like, whatever, bitch. And he's like, yeah, one day I want to have a family and kids and shit like that. And this thing is like, oh, you and your little family. And then he sits and looks at him and is very serious. He's just like, don't be like me, like, he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, if you're starving in prison and someone offers you freedom or food, what are you going to do? And it's like, basically it's that. It's like, you got these motherfuckers in between a rock and a hard place. And so narcissists there will be spurts of truth in toxic people, because they know they're in pain, and they know that the pain is causing them to do harmful things and allow harmful things to be done to them. And so there will still be spurts of truth, and that's the spurt of truth that he gave him, but at the same time downing him and making it seem like, so it's like back and forth. It's like love bombing and gaslighting. It's a small love bombing, like, don't be like me, but like, oh, you and your little family dream. Oh, okay, nigga, whatever. But anyway, so I thought this was interesting too, is that when he got in there, this nigga was in here skinning a goat and shit, like, just got goat skulls all over the wall and shit, I guess because he got the devil blood in him and being the greatest of all time and all this other stuff. But like, Cam asked Isaiah, he's like, oh, did you kill this yourself? And I liked how he distracted him by putting in some random fact of history to make him sound like, he cares about people and shit like that, instead of answering the question. He's like, that the Native Americans at this school, Indian Carlisle school, like they coined the forward pass, and they were the greatest of all time, and like, but now they're mascots, and don't be a mascot. And it's like, what does that have to do with you skinning a goat? See, motherfuckers want to put little points of history of oppression that people have gone through to make them seem like a good person. So to distract you from all the other shit that's going on around you, like all these goat heads and weird shit on the wall, and you over there skinning a goat. And then to test him even further, so we're climbing a ladder here. So the distraction worked. And then when he's about to walk out the room, he asked Cam to help him hit a nail into the piece of the skin and shit. So now let me see if you're willing to do this and not ask me about it. See how distraction works? And motherfuckers just want to be controlled like this. No, they want it. And I just don't have the energy for niggas that want that shit around me. Like, so you don't see how this motherfucker is slowly just reeling you in. Like, first he used the tactic of the distraction, a little history point, to make you feel like, oh, look, he knows about oppression. He cares about people. Look at him teaching me shit. To distract you from the fact that he's skinning a motherfucking goat on the table and got goat skulls all around it. And then to test you even further, he's like, let me see what I can get this nigga to do now. He had you nail a hit like it was normal now. Now it's normal. Now because he distracted you with a little history tidbit that you could have Googled. He's Googling history of football. It would have came up eventually. Now he got you hammering goat skins and shit. You don't even. I'm helping him hammer the goat skins. Yes. So then we start day one, and day one is like fun. So we're supposed to be having fun, just throwing the ball around on the field, right? And seeing like where his talent lies and things like that. How is he doing? And like it's like fun. It's like they're having a good time, they're laughing, they're love bombing. It's love bombing. It's a honeymoon period. And then he's talking shit and stuff, but he's being an actual mentor on the first day until it comes to him getting a physical. And I love how they illustrated this manipulative tactic. So basically, he's getting a physical in front of like at least 5 or 6 people. And so he's sitting there waiting for it to happen. Like we meet this doctor and he's just like, take your clothes off. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, take your drawers off. Like drawers are underwear. So of course he would think in his mind that included his underwear, right? And so he's looking at them weird, but he just takes his clothes off because this is we're escalating the testing. How much can you put up with before you say some shit? And then if you say some shit, then we gonna divert it to something else so that you can forget about this shit, and then we're gonna do some other shit to you. See how it works? See how it's not that difficult. What's disjointed about that? We've been indoctrinating this child since birth, which a lot of these famous ass niggas have been indoctrinated at least since elementary school. And like we are now showing extreme indoctrination. That's all we're doing. We're escalating. The indoctrination is just escalating. We're breaking this person down into nothing so that they can be attached to us by slowly and some ways quickly, manipulating him. And so they got him with his clothes off, and while he has his clothes off, he's obviously nervous. He starts to sweat, but he tries to keep his cool. They asking him personal questions, and he's talking about his trauma and his dad and things like that. What you notice that they often have him talking about his trauma and his dad. They're keeping him at a heightened emotional state on a regular basis because it's hard to think when you have cortisol running through your body. And then this is where the slavery imagery comes in. They're looking down his throat. They're measuring his body parts. This is a slave auction practice. And so they're showing us how it just keeps repeating, and how niggas is just allowing this shit. No, I'm not saying black women don't, but then these niggas are killing black women in a good majority. So at this point, they're worse. So statistics, Google it. Like no, they're in the majority. They're killing us. So black women ain't killing black men in the majority. So at this point, no, you're allowing this behavior, and you're allowing it to take you to these extreme mental health places, and then you're allowing it to cause you to murder us. If you want to be indoctrinated into that shit, can you not be indoctrinated without involving us? No, because the thing is, to be indoctrinated into something abusive means to always be attached to your victims and codependent on them, because your victims are your coping skill. They're your emotional support animal. You need somewhere to put all of the angst and the sadness and the miserableness that has built up inside of you over the years that made you want to be indoctrinated to something that makes you find validation only from things outside of you instead of within yourself first. So then they like gaslight him and make fun of him for taking his underwear off, talking about, oh, it's weird that you, and it's like, but you, okay, never mind. And then we go and meet the wife. And so I like how the white characters are illustrated here. You got these people that are supposed to be behind the scenes orchestrating this, all powerful. They look silly. Like the white wife looks like a caricature, because that's how they're supposed to look. Like I saw a comment talking about, I wish they went further into the cult aspect of it. They're not supposed to, because they're supposed to look silly. They're supposed to look like, why the fuck are you doing what these people say? Why the fuck are you doing like this? Nigga has a pig face on, nigga, and that's why it looks silly and it looks fake, because in the light of day these motherfuckers look silly. Trump looks silly. It looks silly. That's how we're supposed to feel about these oppressors, because that's what's going to motivate us to not pedestalize them. We're not supposed to learn more about the cult and the demon and all this. No, we're supposed to look at this shit as the silly shit it is and be like, absolutely not. Like, money's nice, but like, I'm not about to be sucking blood and wearing pig faces, and then I'm gonna have to get my ass beat one day and die at 45. Like, I can't even last till 89 or nothing. Like, I have to get my motherfucking shit killed. Like, what are you talking about? So how long am I actually gonna be able to enjoy the money? Can I even have kids? Like, absolutely not. This shit is silly. It was supposed to be silly. His wife was supposed to look silly. These white women that you marry for status, so you can look like something in front of other niggas. It's silly. And so we got him in this ice bath, and I was just looking at the ice. I was just like, this ice looked like plastic cubes. It's like, this ice don't look real. And this is where we manipulate him into the first, I think what's in the needle is blood. It's red, but he wanted to see if he could take it a step further before just sticking him with the needle that says with the shrugs. So the way that they climbed the ladder with this manipulation was, first he jokingly just offered for him to take some of the blood that he just pumped into the bag out of the bag. Like, do you want some blood to feel better? You know, that's how they test if we can just go straight into it. Like, I don't have to keep doing these little manipulative tactics. So sometimes in building up and escalating the manipulative tactics, they'll go all the way to the end game manipulative thing that they want from you, but they'll say it jokingly. So that you can just be like, oh, well, you know, like, no, what you talking about, nigga? Like, no, I don't want blood out of that bag. To see if you'll just do it, so they can skip all the extra other manipulative tactics that they would have to do to get you to the end game. But of course he's like, no, nigga. And then here comes the doctor with some shit in a needle, and it looks red, and I'm assuming it's blood. And the thing has like a shrug on it, and he just sticks him with it, talking about, oh, this will help you with your, you know, endurance and shit. And he's not asking. So then they just, that's the next tactic, is just randomly pumping him full of something that is supposed to make him stronger and faster and recover quicker. And, you know, he doesn't question it. So there are things that he questions and things that he doesn't question. And so the things that he doesn't question gives them hope that they can continue to escalate, because they have to habituate your mind to thinking this shit is normal. They have to, like, let me see. There's someone that was in a cult. They wrote, the greater man's ignorance of the principles of his social surroundings, the more subject he is to their control. So you tell him that it's just some stuff to make him stronger, but then he starts hallucinating and shit, you know? And so there are things he won't question. But there are things he does, and those things that he does question and he stands firm in those things, those are the things that are going to start to push him to where he ended up at the end of the movie. And so, like, the next day is day 2. It's poise, and they're out running in the desert, and he passes out, and it's weird. I like the juxtaposition of, like, is it a hallucination or is it really happening? Because when he first got hit in the head, I was like, is this a hallucination? Is this really? But that was real. When he was at the thing and the fan came up to him and he was all greasy and sweaty and gross, I think that was a representation of fans. Just weird motherfucking fans that won't leave you the hell alone. I think that's what that little man was, that was covered in greasy, nasty, sweaty paint. I think that was a representation of fans and how they just will not leave you the fuck alone. And so, like, he bombs him a little bit and acts like he cares that this nigga's out of breath, takes him back to the football situation, gives him some recovery juice and a shot is administered, and then he like goads him into playing a game of throw the ball catch. I don't know what it throw catching the ball with the other niggas that came in that most of them were shirtless. The one nigga that wasn't shirtless, he was cute. He was nice looking. And so he's throwing the ball to them, and then one of the dudes go over to this football throwing machine, right? And so he doesn't know what's happening. So he's just like, oh, he's just standing there. So he's throwing it, and they're supposed to catch it. And I guess if they can't catch it, then he's not doing good. I don't know. He aiming and throwing at moving targets, and they have to be able to catch it. And so this nigga makes it so that every time this nigga doesn't catch the ball, this other nigga over here that's standing in front of the ball throwing machine gets hit in the face with a ball. And they're all acolytes. So the nigga that's getting hit in the face with the ball, he loves that shit. He's like, thank you, master. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. And so this is a part of manipulation within cults that involves group dynamics and peer pressure. Another powerful tactic used by cults is group dynamics and peer pressure. Cults often use intense group activities and rituals to create a sense of unity and belonging among peers. This can include chanting, singing, and other repetitive activities that create a trance-like state and make members more susceptible to suggestions. Cults also use peer pressures to control their members by creating a culture of fear and shame. Cult leaders can manipulate members into conforming to their beliefs and behaviors. This can include public shaming, ostracizing members who question the group, and reward those who are the most devoted. And so basically, we got this like group activity that is promoting fear within this nigga, that's making this nigga question himself, because first he questioned this nigga getting hit in the face with the ball. He's like, what the fuck, man? And then this nigga gets into his face and is like, are you a real man? Do you want football? Blah, 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 blah. You need to. And I'm just like, Marlon, go off, sis. And so he's just like, okay, I gotta save this nigga. It's up to me to save this nigga. And the thought of calling the police, the ambulance, none of that crosses the mind anymore. Because you put him into a heightened emotional state and he's not thinking clearly. And so he turns back around and starts throwing the ball and shit, and he misses a couple more times. Nigga, it's his in the face a couple more times, and then like eventually someone catches the ball, and Marlon is like, bravo, and then this nigga runs over to him and is like, stay down, are you okay, bro? This nigga will stand up, missing a tooth and all, start laughing and shit because he's indoctrinated into this shit. So, you know, obviously he has a disability now. He doesn't care that he has a disability because his first priority isn't himself. Oh God, his first priority isn't himself, and that's what happens when your first priority is not yourself. You allow niggas to throw footballs in your face and shit. But at least I got $50,000 off of this, and I can buy me some. Your face is fucking. I can get surgery, and that shit could have gave you CTE. You could have severe mental health. I got me a bag, though. Okay, love. You got you a bag. You got, girl, the way I love myself and my dignity and shit. I think that's why people, because there's a lot of people in this world that will just do bullshit just to get a bag or just to get recognition by shitty ass people. And I don't have the energy, and they see that and they don't know how to interact with me, because there's nothing you can give me or do for me that will make me bow down like that. Like, because the pain from bowing down is worse than me just saying no to the shit. I figured out Jesus doesn't require me to do all this shit, so you know, and he still gives me shit, so he'll figure it out for me and shit. Like, I don't need your 50,000. Jesus will triple, quadruple it. There you go, putting it into something that's permanent. Is not and not something that's temporary, which is you. And so like, this shit fucks this nigga up, right? But like, he just falls in line because everyone else is falling in line, and it's that mob mentality that's starting to seep in and get him. And that's another manipulation tactic. The group, the peer, the social. Why aren't you? They play you. They triangulate you. They play you off of other group members. Like, that's low key what he was doing, playing him off of them other niggas that was there, making him feel like there was something wrong with him for like wanting to help this nigga or like not wanting to stop throwing the ball. And so he fell into it. because we can't win them all. But at the fact that he had multiple moments where there was still a spark of individuality is, like I said earlier, is what led us to the end of the movie. So we go to day 3. Day 3 is leadership, and he's still kind of woozy after the situation yesterday, but now like he's letting them stick needles in him without it being a surprise. At some point he starts sticking them needles into himself. Like, we're still like, oh my gosh. And then we're tackling niggas. So now we're playing football again, you know, the indoctrination game. And like he gets tackled, and he's not supposed to get his head hit because he has a concussion. But we don't care about ourselves. We only care about, you know, acceptance and football. And so like he gets yelled at by this nigga like, how much do you want this, and you need to sacrifice. Once again, Marlon acting the fuck down. And so he gets back out there and then busts his head with somebody else, and then that nigga falls on the ground, and he's in he's shaking like a little chihuahua, like, you know, his brain is scrambled. And this nigga just standing there screaming over him like, yeah, I got your boy. And then they're all circling around this nigga chanting like a cult. And, you know, like, there are moments where he falls for the okie doke. So that was a test. That nigga's face got fucked up, but he stood back up. So obviously I can hurt niggas here and they'll stand back up, right? Like, so this is just a part of the game. This is a part of the, you know, football. And okay, love, it's okay. You figured it out in the end. Love. That's fine. But see the escalation. We started off with the first initial isolation when he walks into the house. Then we distracted him with the random history fact about oppression and how he shouldn't be a mascot. And then we had him hammer a nail into the thing that he was disgusted by a second ago. And then we gaslit him into talking about his trauma while standing there naked. And then we gaslit him into thinking that it was his fault that he was naked. No, let's start with the childhood indoctrination, and then breaking this man down mentally and emotionally by low-key making him feel like he's being separated from the thing he loves the most by giving him an injury that could impact his ability to do the thing he loves the most. Then we got shooting him up with random love bombing on the first day, shooting him up with random needles, and then asking him if he wants the actual blood out this nigga's body and shit. Just to see if like we could just skip some steps and just go straight to the blood giving and shit like that. Then we make him hurt a nigga, and, you know, make him normalize hurting a nigga so that the next day when he hurts a nigga and the next nigga's actually hurt on the ground, fingers twitching like a shaky chihuahua, he's just like, whatever about it. Like, he's just like, oh, I got his ass, y'all. And if he was of weaker made stuff, they would have succeeded. He would have been the next GOAT. And then he would have been the one getting his head bashed in when he was 45. Right. Because, like, why do they have to die? Why do they have to, maybe they can't leave them just sitting around alive for too long, because then they start to, like, remember themselves and they want revenge. It's not about the cold. It's not about the demon. No, it's about the psychology of these niggas and what they're allowing in their lives and how they look just as silly as these white people. Actually, they don't even look silly. It looks sad. It looks like they're broken, and these white people are just manipulating their brokenness, and they're just allowing it. And it's just like the way Marlon would just have these like sad psychopathic eyes when he's talking about the traumas he's experienced and all this other stuff. Like, they're manipulating that. That's what they're the brokenness inside of you. They're using that against you so that you feel beholden to them, and you're allowing it because you think it's cute. So at least I'll escape white supremacy by joining white supremacy. What? Acting like the white man. Okay, but why can't you just keep that shit up? Because when you become an oppressor, the definition of oppressor is to oppress. Because that's what they get off on. So that's a part of being the oppressor, and so they can't leave us alone. because then they wouldn't be an oppressor and they wouldn't even be over there, because you have to not love yourself to be over there. And I just wish people had liked this movie, because it was good. The euphoria I felt, I was just like, this nigga really used a history lesson to distract this nigga from asking him why there were goat heads on the wall, and if he out here hunting and killing these things himself and skinning them. It's like, let me tell you a history lesson. The Indians, nigga, fuck you. Like, what is you talking about? Why are you skinning goats and shit and hanging them on your wall, sir? Care about this shit? I asked you a question. Niggas will use anything to distract you from the truth and shit. And if you need to be open-minded and aware enough to realize when you are being taken advantage of, love, or these niggas will kill you because they want to be a part of the oppressor. So anyways, this nigga is like up wandering through the halls having hallucinations and shit. Somebody puts plastic over his face. I think it was like that was a hallucination from whatever blood nastiness they're putting in his body. And like, I like the part where he rips the plastic off of his mouth. Like, that's what they should be doing in every movie, unless your hands are tied. But like, why aren't you biting through it? It's Shut up. Sometimes when you're in shock, you freeze, and you just freeze until you die. I don't know. God bless. Anyway, so he calls his mom. It's her birthday. He wishes her a happy birthday. And then here comes this doctor up behind him, and he's like, oh my God. And then he hangs up before she finished talking. And like, the doctor's like, it's fine, whatever, man. And then he starts talking about how his life sucks and how he got in this to help people. And like, he's giving him subtle hints that, like, he's being pumped full of devil blood and shit, and he needs to get the fuck up out of there. One man leaves, two men enter the Coliseum, one man leaves. But this nigga, people don't want to consider the depths of depravity that people can go to. They see these little red flags and they are just like, oh, like, it can't get worse than this. Yes, it can. I see a red flag, a little red flag. You just not respecting my boundaries. You trying to criticize the things that I like to do for fun. And I automatically consider the fact that you could be a serial killer. No, because they all do the same things in the beginning. So you don't know where this road could lead to. You could just be a fuckboy, a cheater, a liar, a manipulator, or you could be a serial killer. I go all the way to the extremes. I'm not going to treat you like that to your face. I might set boundaries or try to get away from you or something like that. Very nicely, very discreetly, very cutely. But yeah, in my head, I am already considering the fact that there is a possibility that you could be the most extreme of manipulators and be a serial killer. And I'm going to treat you as such. I'm not going to be alone in a room with you. I'm not going to hold very many conversations with you. Like, the buck stops here. But most people don't think like that, because like, I learned that with neurodivergency, pattern recognition is not common sense. It is a highly functioning neurodivergent trait that mostly neurodivergent people have, where we just analyze and notice things that most people don't notice because they are lost in the sauce or they just don't want to notice it. So yeah. This nigga isn't going to consider the statements this man is saying like that until he actually sees the shit. Okay, that's what it is. So then we go to this scene and they're in the sauna, and like, Marlon's just lamenting about like he thinks it's football, family, and God. I would say that makes sense, just because like football was the only thing that gave him some type of quick rewards versus his family, who it sounds like was abusive. And then God, like, why would God allow my family to be? So why not have God last? And how he's just obsessed with football, but also is cognizant of the fact that he is imprisoned by football. Like, to the point where he can't fathom not playing football and doesn't understand why Like, he has to have a replacement and stuff because this is who he is. This is all he is. He doesn't have hobbies outside of this. Like, he's stripping goats and shit because he thinks he's the goat, and all he can think about is goats and being goats and goat and the devil. That's why he's stripping goats, love. Like, everything ties back to football. He got them old football uniforms in his house and shit. So he's telling this nigga, he's a little bit of clarity is coming through in this moment. Don't be like me. Make your own fortune. Make your own path. And da 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 da. So this nigga's just sitting there listening, like, oh, okay. So anyways, he leaves out of that, and this nigga lays down in a sauna and is about to take a nap when this bitch from the front gate climbs out from under the bench. And I was just like, the way she looks and how hot it was in that. They didn't smell her? No, because she was in there the whole time. She was in there the whole time. So that they were talking, so they didn't smell this hoe. They didn't smell this bitch. You seen this bitch. You seen how she looked. She was sweaty and nasty, and the heat makes the smell worse. So they didn't smell this bitch. Nobody smelled. And then when she climbed, first of all, I would have heard her climbing. Like, you know how quiet it is in a sauna? Motherfuckers have to be ninjas to not make any sound, not make any. And the fact that she would have smelled really, really bad. She would have, and like, I would have smelled this hoe. I would have smelled her. So I just was like, why don't they smell her? Like, whatever, nigga. So she tries to bash him in the head with one of the sauna rocks, and she screams before she does it, like in any good anime. Of course, he reacts to her screaming before she smashes his head with the rock, and he gets up and he starts choking the fucking shit out this bitch, and like damn near kills her, right? And then she passes out, and he turns around. There's Isaiah. So he turns around and is about to walk out, and here comes this bitch with the rock again, jumps back up. And so Isaiah grabs her by the neck real quick. I like that. That was nice. And he just looks at her, and she was just like marry me or fuck me or some shit, and suckers. And then this nigga kissed her on the mouth. Oh. I don't know. They probably brush their teeth and shit and gargle and floss and the nausea. There's just this. Oh God. Oh, see, I couldn't be no actor. I'm not about to put my mouth on you, love. Can they CGI that just like they did in that one movie with what's that girl that played Nunu and that nigga from Superbad? And they did that one movie, and they said they had to CGI the kiss because she wasn't gonna kiss his. Like a Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but with a white nigga and shit. Oh God, they could have CGI'd that. They said, oh, I didn't look at the screen when that happened. I just looked away. I was like, I'm not looking at this. But no, they should have smelled this hoe, and because they act like they didn't smell her, I was just confused. Anyways. Isaiah thinks this is amazing. He's just like, look at the dedication. She was willing to sacrifice everything to get in here, and and like, just a psychopath. And then this nigga sitting outside on the little weird ass couches and shit, like listening to music. And here comes this nigga's weird ass wife talking about, yeah, bitches be crazy, girl. You want to come in here with us and dance and drink and like fuck a white bitch and shit. So he thinks about it for a second. He said, yeah, I kind of want to dance and drink and stuff and fuck a white bitch. Now there's no evidence that he fucked any of them white bitches, and I really want to believe he didn't, that he's really just a nice guy and he doesn't want to cheat on his girlfriend, and his girlfriend wasn't a part of any of this because she cared about this nigga, and she even told him, like, I don't care if you're a football player, if this isn't for you, you don't got to do it. And I was just like, I want to believe that's real. I don't care what you can believe what you want to believe. I'm going to believe that's real. And he picked a good one, and she genuinely cared about him, but she just got lost in the noise with everybody else just because there was too many people around him. And so I'm going to believe what I want to believe. And so, he's dancing with these white hoes, and then he wakes up on the floor of somebody's bedroom with an empty bedroom. And Isaiah's sitting in the chair looking like a psychopath with a hood on, and like he got a gun and he playing with it. He's like, did you fuck her? And I'm just like, really? You over here telling him to cheat on his girlfriend 24/7, but you sitting up here like, did you fuck her? Like, y'all don't even be talking to each other really. Like, do you even like this white woman? Like, y'all ain't even been in the same room the whole movie at the same time, the whole movie and shit, except for towards the end. Like, it's the principal. It's his car, and no one can touch his car. Cause she's not a person, like, and you know, she lives in that world of not being a person to these niggas as long as she gets some money. Absolutely not. Absolutely the fuck not. I would not thrive being seen as a piece of meat to people, and that's it. I would not thrive in that environment. So anyways, you know, he's like, oh no, I have a girlfriend and we're really committed and da 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 da. I didn't have sex with her and da 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 da. This nigga just pointing a gun in his face, and he's doing the shit that LL Cool J did in that one movie to that one nigga when he put the gun in that nigga's mouth and made him fuck the gun, but he does it to himself and shit. Like, this nigga's an actor. Yes, he dug deep. He dug deep for this. Oh God, I wish people weren't pieces of shit. No, I'm not surprised. I'm not, because the audience this is for are not self-aware enough to accept some shit like this. They're not. Like, I've seen mostly black women enjoy this. They're just like posting on like horror pages that I'm on and talking about how great it is and how they like it and how they like the storytelling and the cinematography. The only negative that I've seen mostly from black women is they wish the movie was longer and there was more discussion. But I like the length of the movie, because to make the movie longer, we would have to center the white people. And this isn't about centering whiteness. This is about showing y'all how y'all center whiteness and how it's debilitating and fucks your soul up and shit, and how you need to stop doing that, and how you need to see your greatness, and how you can actually take their magic and use it against them and shit, and combine it with your magic, because if you see your magic, then you know, and use it against them. And like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. This is a get out for niggas, and you just didn't see it. You didn't see it. You didn't care, because that would involve you taking accountability for some shit you probably already done to people. And you don't want to do that. You don't do the shit that you've allowed to be done to you, and you don't do that. You don't want to do that. So they literally like it made psychopathy beautiful. Like, it's you know, and I love it. It's so good. It's such a good movie. Like, oh God. And so anyways, he says, let's have like a homeboy hangout day or some shit. So they like hanging out, shooting at football things on poles and stuff, right? And he asked about that lady yesterday that got shot, and this nigga was that he choked, and this nigga gonna gaslight him, be like, what lady? And he's like, okay, I guess we're supposed to pretend like there was no lady. And then he's shooting at the things, and this nigga like scares him while he's shooting, and so he misses, so he sits back down, and so he tries to shoot again. So this nigga gets up and he's like, I tell you what, you make this shot, I'll give you everything you want in the house and all this other stuff, and if you don't make this shot, you know, something he said when he don't make this shot. And this nigga just looks at him and goes, nah, I like to get it from the dirt, nigga. I like to make that shit myself. Like, how about this? I make this shot and I might let you keep first quarterback like next year. Okay. And I was just like, this nigga ain't been broken. This nigga has not been broke. He might have endured and fallen into some shit here and there, but he has not been broken. And I just... magical, because this nigga just looks at him, like he's just so angry, like. But I think he also looks at him because like it goes back to Colt. Yes, let's look at the behavioral mental health sciencey shit. So the power of manipulation and control. Cult leaders are often charismatic and skilled manipulators. They know how to use language, body language, and other tactics to control and influence their members. They also use fear and shame to keep members in line and prevent them from questioning the group's beliefs and practices. Additionally, cults often use a combination of love bombing and gaslighting to manipulate their members. And so basically, like, he's just standing there looking at this nigga and knows that this nigga's not broken. I think that intimidates him. I think it intimidates him that this nigga is not broken. He doesn't know what to say after that, and he's very intensely mad. But there's nothing you can do. This nigga will fight you back, nigga. Like, so they bring out this person in a mascot uniform. It's a person in there. I don't think this nigga knew it was a person in there, and he shoots his. I think it was that lady from American Horror Story. And he shoots her, and she's dead. And so we get to day 5. It's Vision, and so they're doing these like interviews for like, you know, I guess practice mock interviews and stuff, and they got him up there once again talking about his trauma. And basically it really illustrates how like they put these niggas up on these high ass pedestals. They got this nigga posed looking like Jesus, talking about his dad again, talking about when his dad died, like he thinks his dad died so that he could play football. He died for us, like he died for our sins, like he's God or some shit, and he's a little Jesus, and he because they want to put you in this position where you start feeding for the attention and for the pedestalization. You start feeding for it like a drug. And I just, you know, I don't think he thinks he's Jesus. I think these people want him to think he's Jesus. And he's up here just telling the story about his dad. They got him at the table with the people around him looking like Jesus in the middle and shit. And it's just like, that's what they be doing. That's the goal of the love bombing. The love bombing is to put you on top of the world, to make you feel like you're the greatest. And then the gaslighting comes in, they pull the rug out from under you, and then you think it's your fault. It's your fault that the gaslighting and the abuse is happening, obviously. And so the person that's abusing you becomes your pleasure and your pain. And only they can heal you from the things that they've done to you. That's how they set you up. And that's why you got to clock it. Because if you don't clock it, you'll end up like this nigga pumping himself full of random niggas blood and shit, and beating motherfuckers in the head with a helmet and shit, and like crashing the hell out and shit. Like it's a lot of energy. And so like he goes to the back, right? He's just chilling, and here comes the white wife. And she's like, oh, like the owner of the team, the saviors of the savior, that's the name of the team, wants to meet you, right? And he's like, oh, okay. So they go to this nondescript like motel and shit, and it's all these rich people partying in the convention center of this little nondescript motel, whatever, Holiday Inn, I don't know. And like they're just like it's like a pleasure den. It's another form of love bombing. It's like a pleasure den. Look at all that you can have. Look at all these bitches and drinks, and let me put this diamond necklace around your neck so that you can feel the glory of the money and the glory of the Lord, the glory of the money, and like, you know, fall in line. And they give him something to drink. Like he agrees so that he wants to join the team and he wants to replace Isaiah. They give him something to drink, and then he gets woozy and just starts to like, I think he gets drunk. I don't know if he's drugged, but I think he gets drunk. And then while he's there, the doctor's there, and the doctor comes up to him and basically whispers in his ear and tells him to run, just like in Get Out. Tells him to run. So basically to get out, right? Like, so this is like Get Out for the industry. It's like Get Out for the industry, and y'all just hate it, don't you? You don't want to believe that you're being brainwashed into doing fuck shit. Like niggas don't want to believe that. Like black women are more prone to believe some shit like that than niggas are. And so like, because black women get no perks, so there's nothing to hold on to. So like it's easier to see the truth when you're not getting any rewards. Well, black men, as long as you kiss ass and suck dick, like you can get money and fame and fortune, and you know, get called, you know, race play and get called nigger when the bitch having sex with you and shit. That's all you got to put up with. That's fine as long as I have money, but you're wondering why you have sex issues and depression and anxiety, and the money's not as enjoyable when you're severely mentally ill and you don't like yourself. But you don't care because you don't think there's another way. But there is another way. You can like yourself and enjoy the money even more so because you like yourself and you think you deserve it. I was watching a Charlie Sheen documentary on Netflix, And like one of his friends was talking about how they think that Charlie Sheen, like, he doesn't like himself. And so like anytime he gets greatness or gets too great, he self sabotages and starts doing drugs and shit again. And so like that's why, like, even though he's gotten great things in his life, he doesn't believe he deserves it, and so he crashes out and starts doing crack. And so, you know, like that taught me that even if I don't think I deserve it, I'm going to pretend like I do. A nigga come along is rich and wants to take me on a fucking like yacht and shit and love on me with a yacht, then, you know, like I might be like, you know, I don't know if this is a lie, but like as long as I feel safe and I'm sure that it's not love bombing, then I'm going to go on that motherfucking yacht, even though my brain is trying to tell me no, you know, because the more that you just enjoy the shit, the more that you can rewire your brain into believing that you deserve the shit, until eventually you do believe you deserve the shit. You fake it till you make it, because you're training your brain. You have to retrain your brain by putting yourself in positive environments and enjoying the positivity coming towards you until you believe it. Yeah. So fuck that. I'm not gonna like start doing crack and shit every time I get too high up in the stratosphere and shit, and you know, think I don't deserve it, and then just start doing crack. I mean, ain't nobody got time for this. So that's what these niggas do when you don't like yourself. You can't enjoy the money. So all of it is pointless. It's pointless. The money's pointless. All of it is pointless. Like, you don't like yourself. But anyways, they killed the doctor, cut his head off, and then this nigga sees it and he passes out, and he wakes up on a table full of ice with this nigga's Isaiah, full pack of his blood going into his body. Now I didn't get it at first because I thought the doctor had been pumping this nigga full of this nigga's blood and just not saying anything. But when he got off the table and he was crawling towards the needle that said run with the little, you know, shrug shoulder things, I'm confused about what's in the needle and what's in Isaiah's blood that got that nigga not able to walk. Is that not Isaiah's blood in the needle? What's in the needle then? Like, so I would say that was the only part for me that wasn't consistent or explained well. Like, what the fuck is in the needle? And like, because I thought the stuff in the needle was Isaiah's blood, and they were just sneaking it to him and shit and making him think that it was, because it was red. It was red. So like, I'm confused. All right, looked like it was red. I don't know. See, now I don't know what's in the needle. Then what's in the needle? So he crawls over, pumps himself full of the whatever's in the needle, gets his strength back, and then goes down the hall and finds Isaiah in his room by himself, right? And then he figures that Isaiah starts to tell him about how they be taking, when in ancient times, they would take niggas off into the jungle to fight niggas, and only one nigga could come out, and blah, 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 stupid shit, white people shit that we don't need anymore. That was during, like, you know, caveman times and shit. Like, niggas didn't have technology like that back then. We don't need that type of environment anymore. See, that's why the Africans was over here with running water while y'all was still over there in Europe living in caves and shit. Now you're trying to bring that European living in cave mentality into tropical areas where we were living in fucking, you know, huts and tents and like castles and shit like that, because we were more evolved, because it was warm, and warm environments make it easier for you to like think about other things, and cold environments put you in survival mode and shit and traumatize you, and then traumatize your people. And that's like people that's where it started. It started from being in cold environments and getting, you know, people being traumatized from being in the cold and fighting over food and shit. Oh god. So like Isaiah's sitting up in his room also, and he's watching the screen of like when he, like earlier in the movie, whenever he would go off from this nigga, like he would say he's gonna go watch some tape, like some old football tape, to learn some more skills or whatever the fuck, I don't know. And really he's been sitting in this room watching these fans cheer him on because he's addicted to it. That's all he has. He doesn't have a family. His wife is, they don't be in this. They had one couple scenes where they were in the same room together, and that was it. And she's a trophy. She's just there for pictures and shit, nigga. Like, they don't have a relationship. So him being mad if this nigga fucked her or not, I was just like, yeah, this is just, you just mad because, like, you don't want nobody touching your object, your car. So they do a little explanation, and then like Isaiah's just or Cam just standing there looking at him, and then he smirks, and he's just like, this nigga, and he hits this nigga in the face, right? And so they start fighting, and Isaiah almost had this nigga, but this nigga gets over him. Or he goes to him, like he gets up and he goes and he gets his helmet off of the shelf because he got all the original football outfits from all the lines of niggas. I guess they've been trading devil blood since the beginning of football. And he goes and gets this helmet, right? And he's like, you know what's the opposite of a what's the name of a savior? So it says, but the football team are named the Saviors. And he's like, you know what the opposite of a savior is? And this nigga Isaiah's like a killer. And Cam's like, no, a mascot, as he's bashing his head in. I looked it up because I couldn't hear what Cam said at first, not even in the movie theaters. And it was a mascot. It's from in the beginning when he told him not to be a mascot like the Native Americans got turned into a mascot and shit. And, like, he's showing that the mascots can fight back. But no, like, I looked it up, and the opposite of a savior is an oppressor. And this thing gonna say a killer. Like, no, you're an oppressor, love. You just joined the oppressors. Like, you are an oppressor too now. And you don't give a fuck because you don't have anything else. They've drained you dry like the vampires that they are, and you have nothing left inside of you except for football. And that's sad and miserable. And on some level, some plane, you're aware of it, but these actions are like knee-jerk reactions now, and you can't do anything about it. You don't want to do anything about it. So I don't know what to So he bashed this nigga head in, right? And then he like walks out, and this nigga had broke his arm in a bunch of places too, so his shit is fucked up. So he walks outside, and you got like they're chanting the the American national anthem, which is another form of mind control, where we have these repetitive phrases and things that we do to make people feel interconnected within the cults, the larger white supremacy cults. And so that's a part of it. But it starts to look silly as you walk outside and you see more. You see they're singing the national anthem. It's very silly. You see them sitting there with their pig faces on, and these old white men, and they're wearing these gaudy ass, dirty looking furs. It just looks silly. And then you see this white woman there in all white, but she just looks extra, and it looks silly. And I think that's what it's supposed to show. Like, this shit is silly, and why are you following it? We don't need to know more about the cult. We don't need to know more about like the demon and shit, because it's not about them. It's about, why are you following silly shit? I think the nigga that directed this, he's not a black person. So like, it feels in my spirit like he didn't understand the audience that he was speaking to. Like, that's why they throw shit in, like, in Sinners. That's why they throw shit in like that. Like, oh, he ends up with a white woman anyways, and the black woman gets to die, so that you can still cater to the sickness. So you can so these niggas can still be connected to the sickness, to the trauma. So we like, this actually is destroying the sickness and saying, I am above this sickness that these white supremacy people have put in me. And like, they don't like that. It makes them feel uncomfortable. And so it's going to be one of them niche movies, probably a cult classic that's going to come back around 5 years from now. I just hope it doesn't make this man give up on this amazing he's one of the greats. He's one of the fucking greats, and y'all motherfuckers gonna hurt this nigga's feelings. And he's gonna push this part of him back down for another 25 years. I really hope not. In the name of Jesus. No, but this nigga said he went out there and they wanted him to sign the contract. They're like, sign the contract. So he's just standing there looking around, and then he sees a picture of him as a kid, his dad, and the owner of the Saviors. And then it starts to click. Like, this has been going on since I was a kid. And then they tell him that basically he was engineered since birth to be this replacement. So basically all that shit his dad was talking about when he was a kid, about having to, sacrifice and all this other stuff, like all this shit was based on some bullshit. And so he's basically coming to terms with that right now, realizing how his life has been orchestrated around this. And then the owner's talking about, oh well, I if you don't sign it, I'll kill your family. And he's standing there, and the words of his dad about making a sacrifice, he's thinking about his family members. He don't even know how many of his family members were involved in this. I still don't want to believe that little black girl was involved. I don't care. No, because he would have been with a white bitch. Like, she didn't do nothing wrong. But who knows? Like, his mom was probably involved, because there was a point in the movie where she leaves a voicemail, and she's talking about how after his dad died, things became really difficult, and she had to do some really difficult things, but she didn't go further into it. So she was probably involved. And so, like, it's all connecting. It's all connected. So he walks over. There's this big ass hammer on the ground, and he kills the mascot that comes up behind him and trying to kill him. And then, like, he started killing everybody, and it's magical. Wait, and you know what? There was something about how, like, I think it was who like, it was Warner Brothers or Universal or whoever is the subsidiary for Monkey Paw Productions or Jordan Peele Movies. They like benched his next movie. I feel like it's because of this. They like I don't know if I don't know what exactly is going on in the lives of they're strangers, but if you produce, because he produced the movie and his company produced the movie, if you produce a movie that tells this much truth all at once, and like has the Vindicator being a black person at the end of the movie, and he's killing everybody for all the black people that had to go through this, and this is a representation of the executives in these companies that you are working for, or attached to, or networking with, then I kind of am assuming that this is the reason why. And they're going on a rampage trying to down this movie because they don't want people to catch on. And it's kind of sort of working with black men, because black men don't want to wake the fuck up and take accountability for the shit that they've done, or the shit that they've thought, or the things they've allowed. That's sad and miserable. So I am not surprised, but I am disappointed. And it is what it is. I feel like we shouldn't have to cater to the worst part of ourselves just to make a movie that tells a good story, that tells the truth about what's going on with us as a people. We shouldn't have to cater to, like, because there were so many moments where I thought he would fall for the okie doke, like when they were shooting at the little football people in the field and shit in the desert, and he was telling him that I'll give you a bunch of this and that if you hit the shot, or if you miss a shot, or whatever he said. So low key, I feel like that scene in the desert was like when it's like a represent. There's like a lot of biblical references in this shit, as far as like him being Jesus, his dad being God. I know it's some random shit. That's like the devil when he was trying to tempt God in the desert, nigga. That's what this nigga was trying. See, you I'm tired. That's all I wanted to say. I really thought he was going to turn around, just like in any other movie where there's a manipulative villain and shit, and be like, oh yeah, sure. But he did, and it shocked me that he said no. And then I realized at that moment that all of these moments are breadcrumbs to show you, that leads you towards the end of the movie, to show you how they're showing you how to fight against these motherfuckers by just maintaining your individuality, and how these motherfuckers don't know what to do when you maintain your individuality. And if these toxic behaviors from these motherfuckers are escalating, that means that your individuality is working and your boundaries are working, because they're trying their damnedest to tear you the fuck down. So I really do hope that this motherfucker, all of these people that made this movie, don't fall for the fucking okie doke. It is what it is. Like, you preaching to an audience that ain't ready for it. And that doesn't mean it's not a good movie. I like the way it ended and just cut off, because it's not about these white people. It's not about this cult. It's about us waking the fuck up and realizing how we're being taken advantage of by these motherfuckers, and healing and doing better and being better and becoming better people for ourselves as individuals and as a group of people. And so, it's sad. It's sad. It's a really good movie, though. Y'all should watch it. It's a really good movie. It is a really good movie. They all did a good job, especially Marlon. Marlon's an actor. He's one of the greats, and I just want him to realize that he's one of the greats and make more shit like this. This is gonna be one of my comfort movies, especially when it starts on streaming and shit. Like, or they might just delete it out of the annals of history. And no, that's what they did to Infinity Train and Courage the Cowardly Dog on HBO Max. They just deleted the episodes off of there, and we can't watch them nowhere except for you can't even find full episodes on YouTube of Courage the Cowardly Dog anymore. Like, before it was on HBO Max, most of the episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog was on YouTube, and now when I went to look, it's not on YouTube. It's just like these little mini clips and shit. And I just, girl, I'm tired. They just want to take everything away from us. They don't care about us as a people. And it's like they bank on us not caring about ourselves, so they don't have to do most of the work of oppressing us. We can just do that to ourselves. We can just do that to ourselves. We can just oppress ourselves and, tear ourselves down. And then they'll just stand there and look and be like, I don't know why these black people are acting like this. Black on black crime. Because they didn't directly, obviously have a hand in it. It was all underhanded and undercover and societally motivated and pushed. And girl, no, I'm mad. Niggas need to watch this fucking movie. So I want to see more shit like this. And this nigga cut this motherfucker's head off and shit at the end of this bitch. He said, fuck you. He was a superhero. And he survived, and to live another day. And then he walked out that bitch like a bad bitch, and just, I just feel like he walked off into the sunshine and he went home and he lived his life, and maybe he became like a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or some shit that he can be more in control of. Rather than, when they were at the little, the hotel motel Holiday Inn party and shit, they was doing the slavery thing there. He was sitting down around all the white people, and his agent was just like, look at his smile, look at those teeth. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what they used to stick their finger in your mouth and look around and make you open your mouth wide when you was on the slave box and shit. It's not that hard to connect the dots. It's either that people are willfully ignorant. No, that's what it is. Because I refuse to be like, oh, people are they're unaware. No, you're aware. That's why you feel uncomfortable when you watch it. You're aware. You just don't want to face that uncomfortable feeling. And so you're the reason why black people are being stuck behind, because you don't want to face yourself and make changes in your life, because each and every one of us that are able to face ourselves and make changes in our lives means that the majority can eventually face ourselves and make change in our life for the better and leave all that other dumb shit behind. But y'all don't want to do it. You don't want to do, girl. I don't know what to tell you. They really set up here. And I expect this from white people, because it's calling out a bunch of shit that white people do and how they treat us. But this is for black people. This is for black men in particular. And just to see the vitriol and you just really mad. One nigga was like, why are you coming for the NFL like that? We're not coming for the NFL. We coming for you. And you didn't like it. You didn't like being called out. You didn't like realizing that you're weak and subservient to these white men. You didn't like that. You can be weak and subservient to white women, that's fine, but you don't like having it glaring in your face how weak and subservient for some money, for some little notoriety and shit. That's why we can't have our own shit, because you want the money and the notoriety. You willing to throw all of us under the bus to have that shit, and that's why Donald Trump is president. I'm tired. You can literally look at emotional abuse manipulation. You can look at a chart next to each other of emotional abuse manipulation and cult manipulation. Cult manipulation is control, fear, love bombing, isolation, evaluation, outsiders, stopping, guilt, manipulation, cognitive dissonance, manipulation tactics just in general, value scalping, taking away your value, social scalping, taking away people around you, isolating the victim, playing on insecurities, infantilizing, making you seem like a fucking child for having emotions or enjoying things or anything like that, lying. Um, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's all just on a manipulation spectrum. And the more extreme it gets, the more it's about like social manipulation or a serial killer manipulation or, but it's the same thing. They just doing extreme manipulation the more down the spectrum we get. And so it's just like, and I had to realize, this made me realize that my neurodivergency like just makes me have very big emotional expressions when I feel things. So it could be good things, bad things, even neutral. Gets me in trouble sometimes because I can't fake like enjoying something a lot. Like if something is cool, like it's not even mid, it's just cool, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like if I enjoy something, I am super happy and I want to talk about it and I'm excited about it and shit like that, and then I'll look up and realize that no one else is as excited as I am. And they think I look crazy, and like I'm just like I show up to shit early, I do random shit just because I love this shit, it's making me happy. And to other people that looks like people pleasing, or it looks like I'm trying to get attention. And no, I just told myself a long time ago that fuck everybody and what they think about my emotions. I'm going to express them the way I need to express them, and you'll just be pleasantly surprised when you thought me being happy meant that I was soft and a people pleaser, and then you try to manipulate me and I set a boundary and cuss you the fuck out. You'll just be pleasantly surprised. The cognitive dissonance in that, you thought that shit was weakness. It's not. It's just the weakness is in the fact that I was holding it in before and going along with the bullshit that society says about me being too emotional and shit, and then hurting myself mentally because of it. The strength is in expressing it in the way that I want to, as long as it's not too intrusive or invasive. And setting a boundary when you try to make me feel like I'm a child or like there's something wrong with me, you'll just be pleasantly surprised when you get cussed out. No, like I was reinvigorated when I saw, it was this show I was watching, and basically this dude's wife dies, and she wanted her body taken back to her weird family in England, right? And so he takes her body back to this weird family in England, and one of the dudes is like neurodivergent. He's like autistic or some shit. And the husband plots this plan because he sees that they live in a castle and shit, and he wants some money, right? So basically, the dude that's autistic, he wants the husband to come play Legos with him and shit and have a good time and shit. So he takes him to his playroom. He's like in his early 20s or whatever, and he's just like, come play Legos with me. Come have a good time. So he goes in there to play Legos with this nigga, and because he thinks this nigga doesn't know nothing, he tries to talk this nigga into giving him secrets about the family. But the nigga's not stupid, honey. He's just free in his emotions. And so as soon as the nigga hears this, he goes, do you think I'm stupid? You think I'm stupid. You think I'm stupid. And then he gets up and walks to this wall and just stands there and shuts down and won't say nothing to the nigga after that. And the nigga's just like, what do you mean? I don't understand what he tried to gaslight this nigga, but the nigga just wouldn't say anything. He was just like, no, he shut him out completely. I was just like, yes, bitch. You play with your Legos. You be emotional, and then let a nigga try you. You set that motherfucking boundary so hard they get whiplash. They don't know what the fuck happened. And you teach a motherfucker how to treat you. That's what you do. I'm gonna be excited for what I'm excited for, and I was excited for this movie, and it was a good ass fucking movie. And if don't nobody else like it, oh motherfucking well, it was good as fuck. And you ain't gonna make me feel bad about it. You're not gonna make me feel bad about it. You didn't see all the connections and the stuff. You didn't want to see all the connections and the stuff. Literally, this is like the Willy Wonka movie. The part where they're on the boat. This is what this is. But it's like you're on the boat. The boat part is the whole movie and shit. It's amazing. It's magical, and it's about black people and how we are being taken advantage of and used by this system, and how you just letting these motherfuckers do that. And you need to stop before it kills you or some shit. That's what it is. You need to stop. You need to find yourself. You need to find your self-love. That's what you need to do. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. I might do the inkwell next. I was thinking about doing it, and somebody like requested it, but I was thinking about doing that next. So, that might be next. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will just leave you with be yourself. Love yourself. because the more you allow your validation to come from something outside of you, the more the more malleable you become, and the more easily manipulated you become. And that's what toxic, manipulative motherfuckers are looking for. They're looking for malleable, easily manipulated motherfuckers. And so, love yourself and shit, because if you don't, nobody else will. I hope that people love people that don't love themselves. I say that. They do. But like, they won't love you in a way that you deserve to be loved, like properly and shit. They'll love you in like either a manipulative, objectified way, or like a people pleasy, like I need to do a bunch of random shit just to make you love yourself and love me type way. And it won't be like a balanced type way. So, love yourself. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think. Later days.